Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of 6 Shots with VM Campos. This is a series where I take you on a photographic journey and show you my 6 favorite shots. Let's take a journey over to San Diego Comic-Con 2022, where I took photos with a vintage camera. But wait a minute, not this vintage camera, this vintage camera. First of all, it was amazing to be back at Comic-Con after 2 years. The sights and sounds, the smells of Comic-Con, the experience of Comic-Con, it's amazing. If you can do it one day, I highly recommend it. What I don't recommend though, is take photos with a 70-year-old camera unless you're a massive film fan. Because unlike a digital photo, you'll see it right away. This, I didn't even see the photos until 2 weeks later. Let's talk a little bit about the camera that I took to Comic-Con. So this is from around 1950 or so, 51. This is the Kodak Tourist. So this is a medium format camera. Here it is in the closed, handy dandy closed position. When you're ready to take photos, you just open it up. You press this button right here, and then you open up the bellows, and you're ready to take photos, either vertically or horizontally. It's a completely mechanical camera. And again, the ingenuity of these cameras, 70 years old and they still work. This takes 6x9 medium format photos. They're nice and wide screen, basically. And this beautiful vintage camera, 70 years old from Kodak, built right here in the good old US of A. Still works, still functions. And we're gonna check out the photos that I took at San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Now these shots that I took at San Diego Comic-Con, if you would like to experience it for yourself, you can get prints of these over at my gallery, vmcampos.darkroom.tech, if you're interested. But let's check out these photos. And I took these on Lomography Red Scale. This is a pretty affordable film from the company Lomography that gives everything this beautiful, otherworldly red haze to it. Now if you're not a fan of it, you can use Lightroom or Photoshop to remove the tint, and I'll show you how to do that later. But this is the first shot I took right here of the glorious convention center. We can see the detail over here. We've got these little birds hanging out at the top of the convention center, the banner and everything. I kind of like the edge, the aesthetic here of that's the edge of the film right there. With a perfectly captured digital image, there's just no imperfections. But one of the things that I love about film photography are the imperfections, like these light leaks right here where the film got overexposed. There's the grain, there's the dust, etc. Over here you can see just a lot of the light leaks that were happening in this camera because the camera has bellows which are 70 years old, which are an organic material that opening and closing it throughout all of these decades damages it. And eventually I got these light leaks right here. But even that looks like a really cool aesthetic choice that I did. Yeah, I'm gonna say I did that on purpose. All of these weird light leaks, of course I did that on purpose. Did somebody say crowds? Yes, there's 1,000,001 people at San Diego Comic-Con, give or take 500,000 or so, and there's crowds and lines everywhere, well, queues for the rest of you in the world, but there's lines everywhere, all over the place just to get in everywhere. Here's one of the many crowded spots, just people walking from downtown San Diego to come into the convention center, the other shot I just showed. And so people are coming from the historic Gaslamp quarter in downtown San Diego, past the trolley station, past the religious nuts over here telling us that Jesus saves us from hell. I'd rather have Jesus help me get a ticket for next year. And we see here the depth of field that was captured with this camera. There's people nearby, a little bit further back and even further, and the buildings with various amounts of focus. I really like the results of this camera. Again, this is a 70-year-old camera, and it's taking pretty sharp photos. Now you have to know how to manage, of course, your f-stop and shutter speed and set your zone focus and all of that, and you'll get a great result, or else you'll get a horrific mess. But this crowd shot right here of the throngs of people shuffling their way to the convention center like zombies, I think is a nice shot that came out. Again, we got the light leaks up on the corner with these otherworld streaks of light. There was a secure perimeter set up to get into the convention center, which you could only breach by being vaccinated and having a mask, so shout out to the convention for having a very safe event. I was there all 4 days. I didn't catch any of the Rona, so either I'm very lucky or my immune system is that of the Hulk. Here's another shot of the outside of the convention center. It's divided into several different halls. This is Hall F at the moment. Near the ending of the convention center, back over there is the mythical Hall H, where all the movie stars and big events are happening over there. There's a little surveillance drone and such. So as we're seeing, the aesthetic of this film is it's red tinted. It's a red scale film. It's shot kind of backwards. If you don't know about red scale film, basically it's shot on the opposite side of the emulsion. It gives everything a red tone. Again, that might not be your bag. You might not love the red tones to it. It can be turned into black and white if you know some digital darkroom tricks. But just more people going to the convention center, trying to buy cool stuff and see cool things. All right, so here's an example where, yes, this was an artistic choice that it's kind of overexposed. That's I'm going to stick to that story. This was an artistic choice. So here we have an overexposed shot. This is from the bridge. So now I'm kind of on the opposite side, where on this photo over here, I'm way back over there where that bridge is at. On this shot, I'm at the bridge looking at the convention center with the various other hotels, the hotels that are covered with signage promoting things. The sun was at that direction that's facing towards the west, the San Diego Bay. So you see here that overexposed things. And obviously in the digital darkroom, you can tweak these photos with some dodging and burning to get the perfect results out of them. And most of these shots, everything that I'm showing you here basically is just kind of right out of the camera with very minimal edits. This is as the camera showed it, and it's obvious because I've got some dust and such that needs to be fixed. But again, that's all part of the aesthetic that I like of film photography. It's not perfect. If you want perfect images, take 20 of them with your digital camera and then pick the best one. On this one, there was only 8 shots. Only 8 shots fit on one roll of medium format film at 6x9. And I only get 8 shots. So this was one of them. You can tell me, do you like this aesthetic? It's kind of overexposed. I think it's got a cool, dreamy quality to it, but it might be overexposed. Inside the convention center is a mythical wonderland full of a variety of delights. This is at the top level of the convention center, one of the many halls. The architecture of the convention center is beautiful, nice and expansive. And here we have a shot just looking down the hallway through the various other halls. Hall H, of course, is the most famous one, but we've also got halls 25 and 24 and so forth. And this shows just the mass of people going to the next event. I like this shot in that it really shows you the scope of one of the pieces, one of the little corners of the convention center. It's such a vast place. You'll never be bored on the 4 days that you're there. 5 days if you manage to get preview night. This is one of those iconic shots. It's required for people to take a photo of the San Diego Comic-Con sign, that classic eye that has been around since the mid-90s. The toucan is also the mascot of Comic-Con. And the first years that I went, 1993, the toucan was, the big mascot. Then in 96 or so, they switched over to the eye. And so here we're at the sales pavilion. I'm looking upwards at, again, the architecture. It's a sales pavilion because it's covered in a material here rather than being a solid mass, a solid material. It's like a sail-like material because we're right by the bay. The San Diego Bay is where the San Diego Convention Center happens, where we have San Diego Comic-Con International in good old sunny San Diego. And so I have here, I like this shot because it's got these variety of straight lines, curved objects, curved pipes, just a mishmash of things to look at. It's kind of overwhelming. I kind of was looking for that in the shot. But then, of course, here we've got the focus on the eye of the convention center, much more powerful than the eye of Sauron, smiling benevolently upon us. Do eyes actually smile? But anyway, this is a shot right here of something that everyone sees at the convention that is sort of omnipresent. But here I took a shot of it to focus on that, which might fade into the background. Speaking of being at the Bay, this is on the backside of the convention center looking towards the west. There's the San Diego Coronado Bridge that connects downtown San Diego over to the peninsula of Coronado Island. Yes, that's a misnomer. But there's two ways to go there, through Imperial Beach or through the bridge, and then it's kind of like a really posh area, Coronado. And what we're seeing here is there was a pirate ship at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, next to the big old yachts, I believe that's the IMDb boat, but next to the big old boats, the yachts, the private ships and so forth, we had a pirate ship. People lined up there to get conscripted and sail the high seas. Now this is another shot where the light leaks in the camera created this weird streak across the photo. I've subsequently fixed the light leaks in the camera. Yes, I should have done it before I went to the convention center, but I did it afterwards, and they didn't ruin the photos. They add this interesting look to it, and yeah, this is part of that aesthetic, which if you don't like, that's the great thing about photography. You can just do so many styles in photography that fits your own. Now also there was a blimp or two flying around advertising Shark Week. So it's just a big old party, San Diego Comic-Con, inside, outside, land, sea, and air. It's quite an event. And my last shot with this camera, another one that's kind of overexposed. I had the settings, I guess, set up more to be inside, and here looking towards even further back on the previous shot, that was the bridge I was standing at there, looking at the convention over there. On the other shot, I was looking the other way towards the bridge. Now I'm even further back at another parking structure. It's kind of interesting. San Diego, downtown San Diego is just like any big metropolis in that we've got like really nice posh areas, a restaurant zone, financial zone, industrial zone, hotel zone. It's just a lot of everything. And I'm over at the parking structure that I was at, the trolley station. This is a hub for train activity and passenger trolleys. And if you walk this way here, there's sort of a big sort of food zone. Before you get to the convention center, you cross the bridge, you get into the convention center, take the other route through the right over here, another entrance over there. There's the sales pavilion that I showed in the other photo, and there's the various hotels in the environs. Again, even the hotels are dressed up in cosplay, where they're advertising various things. There's a huge Minnie Mouse over there. And so this is a shot from further south of the convention center, a bit overexposed. But think about it as the nuclear explosion that happened at the end of San Diego Comic-Con 2022, because when it's over, what else is there to do? And those were my 6 shots that I took at San Diego Comic-Con. Well, 8 actually. But those are the shots that I took at San Diego Comic-Con 2022 with my vintage Kodak tourist camera from 1950. What did you think? Which was your favorite one? Did you also get the chance to go to Comic-Con? Did you take photos? Did you take photos on film? What about with a 70-year-old camera? Didn't think so. Have you signed up to get alerted to go to Comic-Con 2023? Good luck, and I hope to see you there. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the next episode of 6 Shots with VM Campos.